Hey everyone. So in the last video, I shared the various ways of measuring development. Remember, there are single indicators and composite indicators of measuring development. The next unit, which is unit 4.9, is all about the barriers to economic growth and development. So remember, we start by defining what economic development is and how it differs from economic growth. And then we look at the sustainable development goals. Then we look at the various ways to measure development. Now we're shifting our focus to what are the barriers? What are the things that prevent or hinder countries from achieving economic growth and development? The next unit, which is the last unit of the syllabus, unit 4.10, is all about the strategies to overcome those barriers to growth and development. So, what are the barriers to growth and development? There are economic barriers, and then there are political and social barriers. In this video, I'll focus on the economic barriers, and then the next video, I'll do the political and social barriers to development. All right, so the first economic barrier is rising economic inequality. The more inequality there is in a country, the less likely any sort of economic growth will translate to economic development. Remember, rising economic inequality often makes the rich richer and the poor poorer. So the poor are trapped in the poverty cycle. So that is the first barrier to economic development and economic growth. Number two, lack of access to infrastructure and appropriate technology in countries where there aren't enough highways, ports, airports, there's lack of access to internet, and so on and so forth. All of this can be a barrier to growth and development. Number three, low levels of human capital. Remember, human capital is basically how healthy and well educated and skilled the workforce is. If there is difficult access to healthcare and education, that acts as a barrier to growth and development because the healthier and more educated a workforce is, the more productive they are, which expands the economy's productive capacity. The next one is dependence on primary sector production. If a country depends primarily on producing and exporting primary goods like oil or agricultural goods, that these products often have volatile prices, and it makes it really hard to use their export revenue to invest in growth and development. The next one is lack of access to international markets. If a country is landlocked or there are high barriers, trade barriers erected by rich countries, that makes it difficult for poor countries to access international markets. The next one is a large informal economy, which is the amount of economic activity that is unregulated and untaxed by the government. Capital flight, if all the rich people are sending their capital and their savings overseas. Indebtedness, if a country has high levels of debt. Being landlocked, and of course, tropical climate and endemic diseases.